Hello everybody, welcome back. Hope we're having a great day and we're all doing well. So Operation Deadly Omen is officially here, and with that we have the brand new Battle Pass. Now if you're not aware, Battle Passes in Rainbow Six Siege are full of a bunch of lore which helps progress the story further and add a lot more depth and expansion to many operators and the current events which are happening. And this current Battle Pass takes after the events of the Y9 cinematic. So Deimos has been captured by Team Rainbow. They are aware that he is an ex-Rainbow operative by the name of Gerald Morris, and the story follows on from there. So if you do enjoy this video, be sure to drop it a like and maybe even a comment. It does help with the algorithm. And if you are interested in Rainbow Six Siege and Rainbow Six lore content, then hit that sub button. I cover everything Rainbow Six Siege related. And without further ado, let's get into this. Now this Battle Pass starts off with a little story titled Doomsday Clock, and this is from the perspective of Deimos. And it says the following: "Of course they took me alive. Rainbow isn't exactly known for acting in its best interest. For all their bravado, they don't know what they want. They just think I can give it to them. Let them believe that. They can put me in a box, look for answers till the cows come home, squeeze whatever bits and pieces out of me, but it won't save them. The clock is already ticking. Every move Rainbow makes shows that they deserve what's coming. When it's done and Rainbow's destroyed, maybe then they'll realize just how powerless they were." So that's a very interesting piece by Deimos. That also bounces off the bit in the cinematic where he says Rainbow is already dead, meaning that whatever is going to happen to Rainbow has already been set in motion. They could kill Deimos right now and it seemingly wouldn't change anything. Something has been brewing behind the scenes, especially in that period between 2012 and now where Gerald Morris was assumed dead. He was doing something. He was away somewhere. The Key-Res Legion and potentially more hidden figures are still out there, and it seems like a lot is about to go down. Now let's start looking at the individual pieces of this Battle Pass. This first one is by Fenrir, and he says, "A cage is too good for Deimos. We should let him rot in a pit." Of course, Fenrir definitely having strong emotions right now since he worked with Deimos. He was exploited by Deimos. If you don't know the lore of Fenrir, basically he came from a military and scientific background and got pretty fascinated and obsessed with making this toxin which would alter a soldier's emotion on the battlefield. This is something he was very interested in and passionate about. But because of his obsession with this, the scientific community kind of saw him as an outcast and pushed him away. And that is when he got the offer from the Key-Res Legion and Deimos to fund this work. And he was genuinely trying to do this for good intentions. So with this group now funding him, a prototype which emerged throughout its development made anyone who inhaled it blindly violent and would lash out on anyone they saw. Deimos basically used Fenrir to get this prototype, which he then used on Fenrir's lab partners, resulting in all of them dying. And that is when Fenrir realized what had just happened, took all of his work, and ran away. He managed to get the attention of Rainbow, and that is when Captain Thermite of Redhammer would recruit him. But of course, if you're aware, there was a little bit of controversy about that, since some people thought he was a spy. So it makes sense that Fenrir wants him to rot in a pit. Along the lines of this as well is a little one by Kapkan, which says, "Death comes for us all. Better it take him now." And something you're going to realize throughout this Battle Pass is that there is a lot of dilemma on keeping Deimos alive. Some operators thought that he should have been killed on the spot, and other ones are like, no, it's good that we kept him alive because we need him. And it seems like Kapkan is definitely on the side of he should be put down. This next one is by Blackbeard, and it's very interesting because this is setting up his rework we're going to be getting in Year 9 Season 4. And what he says is, "Anything for you, Mira, but why do you need a whole crate of my TARS?" Which stands for Transparent Armored Rifle Shield, which is his gadget, which we've played throughout all these years. So it seems like Mira is developing the brand new gadget which Blackbeard is going to be getting in Year 9 Season 4. Judging by the fact that she's taking an entire crate of them, does that mean that Blackbeard is going to become a brand new shield operator, similar to Monty and Blitz? I guess we're going to have to see how this goes, but with the shield rework currently in this season, this could be the case. We have another one by Blackbeard, and he says, "Lost a lot of people to this job. Someday it might be me. I can't get too comfortable." This could also be playing into the whole thing about his rework not being too comfortable. By that, it could mean getting a new gadget, not being too comfortable with his current rifle shield, which may be lacking. I mean, we do know that Deimos' bullets could shoot through Rook armor, which is then something it seems like Rook managed to sort by the time he confronted them. So maybe this is in the same case there, where Blackbeard's shield is just not really up to scratch anymore, hence implying the rework we're getting and this collaboration with Mira, who is developing it. Cannot wait to see more. This next one is by Thermite, a very prominent operator in the lore, not only being the leader of the redhammer squad, but he's kind of developed into a bigger leader than other operators. Definitely think that Thermite, in my opinion, is the contender to become the next 6, because he's taken on a lot of responsibility. And what he says is, I thought we agreed to put him in the ground. He's too dangerous, even in cuffs. So here's that sort of internal dilemma which is happening in Rainbow right now about how some people think that Deimos should have been killed on the spot, and other ones think that he should have been arrested, which you're going to see a bit more. The ones that you've seen so far have been like Fenrir, Kapkan, Thermite, that he should be rotting and he should be dead. But you know, after all that Thermite has been through, can you really blame him? The next one is Zero talking to Rook, which comes with this really nice headgear for Rook, and he says, thanks for the save, kid. Come to training sometime. And that's of course referring to that scene in the cinematic where Sam and Deimos are fighting it out 1v1 and Rook shoots Deimos in the face, pretty much saving Sam's life. And I really like that scene because it is established in previous comics that the bullets which the Key-Res Legion are using are capable of penetrating Rook's armor like a hot butter through a knife. So it seemed like Rook and Mira were hard at work pretty much reinforcing Rook's armor and making it stronger, hence why when we get to the cinematic, Deimos shoots Rook in the stomach and assumed he was out for the count. However, that's when Rook took Deimos by surprise, as his armor protected him, and that's how he was able to save Sam. Hopefully we get to see more between Rook and Sam soon. And it's just also really nice to see Rook in the lore because we don't really see much of him. This next one is by Frost talking to Doc, and she says, I told you it'd work. Nothing like a well-placed trap. Now get home safe. And this is a reference to the piece of lore which Frost said in the Battle Pass for Operation Heavy Metal, where she says, when you're hunting big game, you don't just fire wildly. You lay a trap. And the trap being is the fact that Rainbow were prepared and they had Sam Fisher there hiding in the shadows. You had the building set up with nitro cells to take out the Key-Res Legion members, and that eventually led to them winning that situation. So Frost was right. Now this next one is by Osa, and this is really interesting, and it says, not a word from Rainbow since Seoul. Maybe it's time we reach out for once. So let's break this down. Seoul is the tower attack which happened in Seoul, South Korea, and this confirms that all this time, Rainbow have been making contact to Nighthaven, sort of giving them updates on the Deimos situation by the looks of it, which is really interesting. I mean, I know we did have some interactions between, like, you know, Callie talking to Ash while she was still in her coma, which I assume was done via messages, but this is like a confirmation that Rainbow were still sort of reaching out to Nighthaven, which I find interesting. So the fact that Nighthaven haven't heard from them in a few months, which I believe is 6 months at this point in universe, then it seems like they're still somewhat interested in Rainbow and they're going to reach out to them and see, you know, what the situation is. Quite interested to see where the Nighthaven story is going to go, because we've not heard from them in, I believe, over a year at this point. I mean, the last time we properly saw anything Nighthaven related was when Grimm came out. We've had little tidbits without the battle passes, but nothing as major as that. This next one is Deimos talking to Azami, and he says, so much rage behind those eyes. What are you going to do about it? And I'm gonna read the next one for Azami as well and talk about them both, and this is from Habana, and she says, I understand, Azami, but I can't keep covering for you. If you go near the holding facility again, I'll have to put you on leave. So, of course, Azami is infuriated and has wanted Deimos dead since the beginning of year 7 when she was introduced, because he is the reason why Yahata died, and that's been Azami's arc. That's why she joined Rainbow. She has been on this vengeance mission against Deimos this whole time. So she wants Deimos dead, and she's been going near his holding facility to, I assume, basically try and take him out. It's not confirmed, but it seems like Hibana is sort of putting her on a leash and be like, you need to get back or I'm gonna have to get rid of you. And Deimos is basically taunting her, saying, what are you gonna do about it? Because at the end of the day, it's Azami's end goal to kill Deimos and get her revenge. Now, these next two is a little conversation between Lion and Doc, two operators it was established years ago which hated each other, and they had an experience before they were both in Rainbow. But over the years, it seems like they have sort of became better with each other. I mean, Lion is working underneath Doc in Wolfguard, but this starts off with Lion saying, you did the right thing, Gustav. Deimos is worth more to us alive. And then Doc replies by saying, I hope you're right, Olivier. I don't want more blood on my hands. And I want to point out a tweet I saw by Twitter user Jakaxon. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But over the years in the battle passes, when it's been Lion talking to Doc, he first went from calling him Doc to then Kadeb, which is his surname. And now in this battle pass, he's calling him by his first name, just to help build that relationship between them, which seems to be getting better. Especially since Lion, when he was introduced, came with the backstory of kind of getting the job done regardless if people get hurt. This is a massive change and character arc for Lion, which is very nice to have in this battle pass, and I think I'm going to make a dedicated video about Doc and Lion's relationship because it has changed over the years, and I think it's definitely worth showcasing. Now, this next one is by Harry, who's been dead for over a year at this point, and it says, don't forget why you do this. If you lose yourself, you lose everything. And it's a little charm of the rainbow badge. I like to imagine this patch was accompanied with a little note which says this, and maybe an operator like Ash was looking at this after she awoke from her coma, because obviously she didn't know that Harry died until she woke up. So Harry's still popping up in the lore even after his death. And also just a really nice charm to have the rainbow patch. It looks absolutely sick, and it's really nice that they're sort of showcasing the older rainbow. Because nowadays, this logo has sort of been replaced by the 6 with a gun in it, which is the franchise's logo, but this logo is the in-universe patch for rainbow, and pretty much used to be the logo for the franchise as well. So it's a nice little, return to the past. And this one by Doc says, we threw everything we had at him, and it was barely enough. And you can see him pretty bruised and scratched up. He's even got some stitches across his cheek, which is where I imagine the bullet which hit his glass sort of grazed, because you see that in the cinematic of him getting shot in his visor. So that's very interesting to see that. And just to get Doc's insight into that mission. Here's one by Jager where he says, cheers, Rook. A lesser soldier would have stayed down. Pretty much just saying, thanks for shooting Deimos. Thanks for getting him into custody. I can imagine a lot of people are attributing this success to Rook. Here we have one by Mira, who was part of this mission, and she says, we saved the Secretary General, but will it get the rest of the council off our backs? Which seems to be implying that the council, which is above Rainbow, are heavily, maybe pushing these operators to be like, what is happening here? Our lives are at stake. You need to sort this guy out. Or maybe they're having differentiating opinions with the operators on how things should have been handled. It's getting quite much into the politics side of Rainbow, which is something we've never seen in Siege, and hopefully they kind of go into this a little bit deeper, because I would really like to see them be sort of like a conflict of Rainbow and the politicians and what's happening with this whole Deimos situation. This next one by an aged Maestro, so operators are starting to age by the looks of it, and he says, I have my eye on you, Deimos. Fuck with my people again and I'll make sure you never see daylight. Maestro being an operator who iconically in a previous battle pass said, let's put this fucker in the ground, has been very vocal about how much he wants to, kill Deimos, basically. And although he understands they have him in custody, make one wrong move and you're fucked. And again, I just appreciate the fact that they showed that Maestro has aged a bit, which is really something we don't see much with operators aging. Here we have one from Flores talking to Ash saying, welcome back, Capitana. I'm out on a job, but I'll see you soon. I'll throw you a party with a buffet. I owe you that. Just really nice to see Flores and Ash, interacting. Flores was speaking to her while she was in the coma as well, basically saying, when you come back to us, I'll make you some food, have a buffet, and he's living up to that. He's honoring his word and is going to celebrate her recovery, which is really nice. And in the backstory of Flores, he owes a lot to Ash, in his opinion, because she did do a lot for him. Here we have Ash talking from her first time since her coma, and she says, Jordan, are you okay? Jordan important is Thermite. I was the one in a coma, but somehow you look worse. Don't forget we're here to support you. So just like I was saying at the beginning of the video, Thermite has taken on a lot, and it seemed to starting to take a toll on him. He was one of the operators who was in that first interaction with Deimos and was injured by it. He had to actually use crutches for a decent while. Then he received a lot of criticism for allowing Fenrir to join Rainbow and Redhammer, which clearly would have taken a toll on him as well when a lot of his own teammates are sort of saying, you know, what are you doing? And now with them having Deimos in custody, he's like, why have we not killed him already? So I can imagine Thermite has been through a lot this year, and it's clear from this interaction with Ash that, you know, he's not doing too well. Next we have one by Deimos, and he says, I killed Harry, maimed your team, culled your recruits, but still you don't pull the trigger? Which to him just highlights the weakness in Rainbow and the issue which he's had this whole time. In that cinematic, when they had that upper hand, he even was like, come on, pull the trigger, what are you doing?
What are you waiting for? Pull the goddamn trigger, soldiers.
It just highlights the weakness that Deimos sees, because he should be dead, and he's kind of pissed off that he isn't. Next up we have Tachanka giving his insight into Thermite as well, and he says, no one wanted to take down Deimos more than Thermite. I know it's killing him on the inside. Again, I think we're going to need to get a welfare check on Thermite, because this has been a rough year for him, and it seems like he's sort of struggling right now. Maybe that's something we're going to learn in this season's comic or the next Battle Pass. Next up, we have one from Sens talking about Deimos, and they say, I hate to say it, but from what we found out later, Deimos has great taste in music. And that is a reference to Gerald Morris's old bio, in which it states that he collected blues memorabilia. So, Sens talking about the taste in music which Deimos has is a little reference to the previous Rainbow Six titles. Next up, we have Maverick talking about Gerald Morris, aka Deimos, and he says, Morris was gone for a long time. Trust me when I say those years matter. We need to find out where he was. And Maverick speaking from experience, because he went missing for 2 years after he was investigating a missing reporter, and he was actually discovered by Nook. And after this, he gathered enough intel during that time to dismantle a major insurgency operation, which was a big part of Maverick's story. So basically, in Maverick's story, for him to be missing for 2 years, and in that 2 years, getting enough intel to dismantle a major insurgency operation, those years of being missing matters, because imagine what Gerald Morris has done in his time being gone, which we are yet to learn. We know about the Kira's Legion, but there's still so many unanswered questions. And the final description I have here is Pulse talking about this little stereo drone, and he says, this takes me back to the good old days. I miss my old man. This is a little nod to the fact that originally he never liked his father. That's why he took his mother's surname. But it seems like over the years he's sort of changed and starting to miss his father a bit. And this little cassette stereo drone has made him think of his father, since his father used to build muscle cars in his free time. And of course, this would be implemented into its sort of music system. So it's nice to see that Pulse is sort of reminiscing on the time with his father. And so, if I'm not wrong, that was every piece of lore in the Battle Pass for Operation Deadly Omen. Be sure to drop a comment if there's anything you think I've missed, or if you've perceived something a different way. Let me know your thoughts and what ones are your favorite. I'm really interested to start a conversation about this. So be sure to drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you later. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.